Hi, everyone. I am Carrie Little, your host of Coffee with Carrie, typically every Friday on Instagram at 9 a.m. Central Time, and your host here on YouTube for Learning to Earn with Carrie or Coffee with Carrie. We'll figure that out one day. I want to kind of come to you every week on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. to give you a quick tip in real estate to maybe ask you the hard questions or teach you something new. So today, we're going to kind of call it a checkup. And I want to ask you a few questions that I think you need to ask yourself and then answer them. So, as a real estate agent, you have to show up to do the business. Now, some of you got in the business and you were like, you know what, Carrie, I got into the business, but I'm not really, and I'm looking over here at my notes, and I'm not really even sure I even know why I got into this business. Because you're probably like, it wasn't really what I thought it was supposed to be. And I'm not even sure it was what I expected. So I want you to ask yourself this question. Is real estate what you expected? Some of you just passed the exam and you're frustrated because you probably signed up with a brokerage that isn't training you, or you're signing up with a brokerage that's like the sky's the limit. They've got all these things and you're like, where do I begin? Take a breath. No matter what, you are responsible for your own learning, but your sponsoring brokerage is responsible for supervision and educating you. So I want you, now you can use the new real estate agent's journal that's on Amazon. You could use that, or you could just break out a pen, or you could get yourself a handy, like journal or calendar. And you need to plan out what you're going to do, what you're going to do weekly, monthly, quarterly. I'd love for you to work in, you know, quarters because it'll help you focus a little better. Like, what are your 30-day, your 90-day goals? Because if you can do that, it might help you a little bit. So I don't care if you're part-time, full-time, some of the time, dual career. You need to take a moment, take a breath, and figure out if real estate isn't what you expected, and you're like, I got to learn something new. It really, you took a hard test. Now you got to show up to learn, because those exams are meant to make sure you understand license law, although you took the test and you were done. And that's okay. So is real estate what you expected? If it is, great. If it isn't, I want you to know, either way, I still need you to write down how you're going to work. What are you going to learn? You have to show up to learn even when training isn't available, and you got to figure out where to get the training. So if your brokerages offer it, sit down, put it in your calendar, and then even talk to your trainer or the managing broker and say, if I don't attend, is there always a replay, or can I go back and watch the replay? Own the learning, even if it's going to be once a week or twice a week. Own it. The other thing I want you to do is find out what so you already know, find out what your company offers. I want you to find out what your multiple listing service offers, could be attached to your local association. I want you to find out what the state association offers. And I want you to find out what is available with the National Association of Realtors. Now, every state is different. So some states you have to do a post learning. Some states you have to take classes, continuing ed classes, or some states require you to take continuing ed in 2 years. So figure that out, but also know that even your local associations might have certifications. Your state association might have courses you can take. And then the National Association has other areas where you can learn, like the Real Estate Business Institute. They've got the commercial courses, investing courses, information on short sales. You've got the Real Estate Residential Council. You've got the designations and certifications. You've got all these options for learning. You just have to figure out how and when. So even if it's going to be one designation a year, it might be worth it. So figure that out. So even if real estate isn't what you expected, you still got to show up to learn. And then when you got into the business, hopefully we asked you, do you know what your goals are? Or at least help you figure out those goals. Someone's like, you need to do a business plan. And you're like, well, how do I do that? Simply start with, here it is. Write down how much money you want to make. Then figure out how many houses you have to sell. There's another video for that here on my playlist. Then, so you know how much money, how many houses you need to sell. We're assuming residential, right? And then I want you to figure out, if so let's say, for example, you want to make 100,000, and then you figure out the best, the best house to sell in a certain city is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Then that in order to hit that $100,000 goal, you have to sell 2.5 houses a month. Then you need to figure out what activities need to take place in order to hit that 2.5 house goal every single month, because you might not hit it every month. You might have to do 7 houses in June or May or April. But in order to hit that goal, what are you going to do? How much marketing are you going to do? Are you going to work with your sphere of influence, family, friends, past coworkers? Are you going to mail to a certain subdivision? And inventory is really low. And today is February 21st, 2022, when I'm recording this video. So if you're watching this later, if it's a buyer's market, you now have to figure out how to get more listings, or you have to, and then, well, if it's a buyer's market, you got to get them, you can get them the best deal. If it's a seller's market, we need more listings. So you need to figure that out. Another question is, what area of real estate do you want to focus on? I said residential, but let's say you got into the business and you're like, commercial is it. You might need to go work for a company that's a commercial company that actually gives you a W-2 at the end of the year. You might need to. But if you're like, nope, Carrie, I'm going to be all commission, it could be different, because if you do big business or big commercial, you might not get paid for a year. You close a deal, you sign off on the paperwork. Because when I worked for a company that has one of the largest, they probably are the largest real estate holder in the world. Those deals they weren't completed until the restaurant was finished being built. So I am sure if there was a real estate agent involved, they didn't get paid for maybe like 6 months or maybe even a year, depending on when groundbreaking took place. So when I say what area of real estate you want to focus on, figure it out. And then it doesn't mean you're not, if you want to get into commercial, doesn't mean you aren't going to start in residential, or even if you want to do residential, but you know, you started in investing before you got your real estate license, maybe you're going to pivot a little bit. Or maybe you're like, I want to list all bank-owned homes, but there aren't as many. You can go learn about it, do the research now, but work traditional sales. So if the market shifts, you're ready. So think about that. Are you investing in your education? Now, when I say investing, I mean outside of, the courses you get that should be included in your fees, like taking, I don't know if you're paying for your multiple listing service, but there's some things you should be getting at your brokerage. Now, I get it. There are some brokerages that might have an upcharge for certain courses, or if you're going to a retreat, you got to pay for your hotel and flight and the event. Maybe. When I say investing in your education, if you think you want to be a developer, you probably got to go back to school. It is what it is. If you think you want to be an expert in commercial, you're probably going back to school. You are. So I want you to really think about that. Are you investing in your education? And yeah, you might have to go back to school. Do you take action at least during the business week, like business hours, Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 or 8 to 4? Are you taking action during the week? So if you're part-time, some of the time dual career, and this doesn't work for you, I'm going to challenge you to figure out how, if you have a regular job, can you fit in 30 minutes to an hour a day to do prospecting, to follow up with clients, or to learn the business? Now, if you're full-time, you're going to block out your schedule Monday through Friday. You might have activities on Saturday, maybe even Sunday. If you are a new real estate agent and maybe you're like, well, Carrie, I have a regular job, but I really want to do this. You probably need a friend. You got to practice showing houses. You need to go to on broker tour, where those are open houses for real estate agents. You need to go to open houses. You need to go look at new construction. You need to get into the business of doing the business. You got to practice. So do you take action during the business week? So really quickly, some things you need to think about is you need to be consistent. You will see results when you're consistent. You need to know why you got into the business of real estate. This is a big part of helping you reach your goal. And it's what will get you moving every day. And you need to have focus. Follow up and staying on track will help you get focused, and dream big. Like today, you might say, Carrie, I want to do residential, but in 3 years, I want to pivot into commercial. You could be going to school. You could take the CCIM course through the National Association of Realtors, and you could take one course a year. That might take you a while, but you could put yourself in a position to pivot into new construction. Maybe it's going to be vacation homes. Maybe it's going to be that you want to work in luxury. Whatever it is, you got to dream big, write it down. You are more likely to reach that goal if you start now. And then own it. If you're like, you know what, I'm not doing this, just own it, get back on track, get back focused. You don't have to move backwards to move forward. You can do this. So thanks for listening. I am Carrie Little, your host of Coffee with Carrie on Fridays on Instagram. You can always catch a replay there. I am also the blogger on smartgirlmedia.com, and I happen to be the broker owner of Caremark Realty Group in Illinois. Thanks for listening.